Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince YT. The chapter begins. The forest path was still, blanketed in shadow and silence, until two figures emerged into its clearing, facing each other like fate had led them here. Suho stood tall and composed, a black mask shaped like a beast's maw veiling his face, his piercing gaze cutting straight through the tension. I'm going to need you to tell me everything you know about the Stardust and the Iterum Apostle. Lee Min-sung. The name dropped like a hammer. Min-sung's steps froze. The way the masked man knew his name, his secrets, it sent a ripple of dread crawling up his spine. He narrowed his eyes on the stranger. There was something disturbingly familiar about him. Not only did this man know about Stardust, but also the existence of the Apostle, the alien. A realization clawed its way through Min-sung's mind. He remembered now. The one who defeated Braki, the one who disrupted the entire supply chain of Stardust. He wore a black mask, too. Could it be him? But thoughts were fleeting in a moment like this. Min-sung tensed his grip around his weapon. Whatever connection this man had to the past didn't matter now. The hunters would catch up soon. He couldn't afford to waste time here. Well, I don't care about that, he muttered under his breath. Min-sung's eyes narrowed in confidence. Based on the magic power he sensed, this guy was no match. A blur of crimson erupted from his body as he lunged forward, sword roaring with energy. Black and red lightning coiled around him like a predator off its leash. Suho didn't flinch. Die! The blade arced downward like a guillotine. But in the blink of an eye, the striker stopped. A shockwave cracked the air as the masked man raised his arm, effortlessly catching the full brunt of Min-sung's attack. Sparks danced where blade met armor. The mask didn't move. But behind it, cold eyes stared back. He blocked my attack. Panic rushed into Min-sung's expression. His sword stuck. His arm trembled. He couldn't pull it back. How strong was this man? Before he could even answer the thought, a surge of force exploded from the masked figure. He twisted with monstrous power and hurled Min-sung through the air like a rag doll. The forest shattered around him. And as he crashed to the ground, stunned and reeling, blood splattering from his mouth, he looked up, wide-eyed. Fear began to take root, and the hunter became the hunted. Lee Min-sung's mind reeled. The black-masked man had clearly used less magic power, yet somehow he was overpowering me. He gritted his teeth. How? How is this possible? Baru's eyes glinted, silver and piercing. Calm, calculated. He wasn't fazed by the imbalance. After all, hunters were ranked solely by how much magic power they wielded. That made it easy to fool others. Too easy. But he could see deeper. I, who can sense true strength, know it. Their weapons collided again with thunderous force, shaking the forest around them. Sparks flew in every direction as Lee Min-sung struggled to hold his ground. The young monarch was building his body through strength stats, Baru thought. Suho movement fluid like water, yet heavy like steel. Baru's thoughts continued. That strength was perfected by Amit's training. The difference was obvious now. No A-rank hunter could match this level of raw physical power. Far away, in the aftermath of the battlefield, the dust began to settle. A deep crater smoldered where Park Do-jin had stood only moments ago, cracked stone fanning out like veins from a single point of impact. His heart should have been pierced. He should have been dead. Yet there he stood. Baek Miho's eyes trembled with disbelief. Hunter Park, how are you still alive? That attack went straight through your heart. Park Do-jin didn't answer. He turned slowly, the golden crystal embedded in his palm beginning to pulse faintly with light. That's, before he could speak, a voice interrupted. Hunter Baek Miho, what happened here? She turned sharply. Miho's face brightened slightly. Oh, you came right away. Choi Jong-in and Lim Tae-gyu had arrived. Two of Korea's most formidable S-rank hunters, each one stepping calmly through the wreckage like giants descending from the heavens. The two hunters stopped before her, weapons ready, but eyes searching. The tension in the air thickened. Park Do-jin lowered his gaze, his expression unreadable. Two S-rank hunters, he murmured to himself. For now, boots strike the soaked pavement as the hunters arrive on the scene, their eyes widening at the destruction left in the wake of chaos. Shattered debris floats in the air. Storm clouds boil above. A crimson-caped figure surveys the devastation. We came immediately after hearing the sound of an explosion. What on earth is all this? Eyes narrow on the scorched crater ahead. One hunter steps forward, her voice sharp. This was done by Lee Min-sung. The others shift in stunned disbelief. A-rank hunter Lee Min-sung had such a skill. Another answer. Gaze darkened. He exuded immense mana. It was as if he had consumed a stimulant. The woman with red hair exhales, brushing a strand from her face as her tone hardens. And maybe it was due to the drug's effects, but he attacked Hunter Park Doo-jin. Their attention turns toward Doo-jin, still standing, blood-stained, but upright. Hunter Park Doo-jin looks pretty normal despite being injured. Doo-jin meets their gaze with calm resolution. I have a recovery skill. Brows lift. The red-haired hunter offers a half-smile, impressed. That's interesting. You have quite a high-level recovery skill. Baek Miho turns to the hunters, voice sharp with urgency. That aside, we need to go after Lee Min-sung quickly. At this rate, he might get to the city and hide himself there. Hunter Choi answers her. Yes, that's true. He turns to someone just behind. Hunter Lim, you heard that, right? Hunter Choi stands in silence. He turns sharply. It seems Lee Min-sung has caused some trouble, just as promised. But Hunter Lim Taegu already disappeared. His voice trails off, realization dawning in his eyes. Don't tell me. In the same instant, beyond their sight, Apostle's eyes narrowed. That's bad. The link still persists. His connection to Lee Min-sung has not been severed. I wasn't expecting him to be able to resist the faith. The desires of a human are truly fascinating. It's unlikely that anyone would believe what Lee Min-sung says. But I could receive unnecessary suspicion if I don't do anything. Golden light flickers once more in a realm beyond theirs. A decision solidifies. It can't be helped, then. The eyes are narrow. I'll throw away Lee Min-sung. Even from afar, the apostle stirs within him, tense and watchful, as it weighs the cost of interference. Consuming divinity isn't a light decision. But if the vessel, Lee Min-sung, is in danger of exposure, then there's only one solution. Force him to end it himself. A drastic move, but replaceable. He's just an A-rank. Finding another puppet would merely be a matter of time. But then, something changes. Golden ripples distort the perception of the observer. Through a divine window, the vision sharpens. Blades flash. Trees tremble. The sound of clashing metal resonates like a warning bell. Wait, he's already fighting. The viewer narrows its focus, startled by the revelation. Lee Min-sung is locked in violent combat. Not with just anyone. No. Could it be an S-rank? The answer strikes with the clarity of lightning. A blur of movement reveals the black mask, glowing, relentless, and precise. It's him. The very same being that disrupted their last operation. The one who interfered with Stardust. The black mask is here. Eyes widen in alarm and fury. How is he involved? Could he be after Lee Min-sung too? Or is the Hunter Association simply another target on his warpath? None of this makes sense. Nothing has followed the script since arriving in this world. Lee Min-sung, resistant to the fate of the Mistborns. The presence of S-ranks, impossible anomalies. Everything, of course. The observer clenches its fist, frustration tightening like a noose. This was not how it was supposed to be. And yet, inexplicably, a smile tugs at the corners of his lips. What? Why am I smiling? Back in the forest, blades crash again. A blinding arc of energy slashes through the wind. Suho grits his teeth, absorbing the impact, his feet skidding across the dirt. His opponent, furious and relentless, presses forward. I can't let him keep me here. I have to end this. Now. Suddenly, a desperate voice shouts through the chaos. Wait. Steel halts in midair. Eyes narrow, confused. Min-sung's voice continued. Is there any possibility you'll let me go if I answer your questions? Suho landed slightly, eyes still sharp and probing. What are you suddenly talking about? Weren't you working with the Iterum Apostle? The tension lingers like a razor's edge, truth and deception tangled in the smoke. Blood trickled down Min-sung's lips, fury burning in his crimson eyes. The betrayal cut deeper than any blade. That bastard backstabbed me. His voice trembled with resentment, the memory of the deception still fresh and raw. Suho's eyes narrowed beneath the shadow of his mask. Backstabbed? So something had gone wrong between the two of them. His gaze sharpened, now more curious than ever. Why, then, was this man helping spread the stardust poison? Li Minsung's voice cut through the still forest, laced with bitterness. He confessed. The only reason he cooperated was because the alien promised him one thing, to kill a certain someone. A silent pause hung in the air as Suho processed the answer. Minsung had joined forces with Iterum for revenge. And then, the truth behind it all began to unravel. Minsung spoke with a venomous weight, recounting how everything changed after the Great Cataclysm. He had clawed his way out of obscurity, becoming an S-rank hunter, finally standing atop the world. But the one who had looked down on him, someone who once treated him like nothing, remained in his path. In order to keep living as himself, to hold on to everything he had earned, he needed to kill a specific person. He glanced towards Suho with calculating intent. Wasn't Suho also looking for that alien to kill him? But Suho's voice was calm, steady. No, he never intended to kill the alien. Not if there was a chance they could speak first. That answer struck a nerve. Minsung's expression twisted with scorn. Suho didn't want to kill the alien. Even though that alien had come to invade this world, his voice was layered with venom now, recalling people he had once despised. Characters with fake morality, all hope and no purpose, people who smiled because society told them to. Ethics, kindness. He spat those words like they were poison. You don't even know what you want, Minsung snarled. As rage ignited within him, flames engulfed his silhouette like a demon conjured from hatred. His voice echoed, cold and loud like a decree of fate. If Suho hadn't gotten lucky with his strength, he would have remained a background extra for life. But Minsung would ensure that illusion didn't last. He promised that one day, Suho would be thrust into a situation with no clear answers, where he'd have to make a choice. With a wicked grin splitting across his burning visage, he revealed what Suho didn't expect. The identity of the one Suho would have to kill was golden light radiated like the dawning sun as hands of divine energy surged upward, forming an ethereal cage around Minsung. Li Minsung stood at the center of it all, his silhouette glowing like a deity basking. But the commanding voice that followed shattered the illusion of control. Li Minsung, the apostle said with quiet, steeled resolve, I won't allow you to speak any longer. The brilliance of the scene shifted, and now Apostle's own figure shone unnaturally bright, golden eyes narrowing in a strange serenity. There was no fear in his voice, only reflection and an eerie gratitude. I'm thankful to you. I've obtained a lot thanks to you. I'll take back my words about you being incompetent, he said with unnerving sincerity. I'll use that body of yours one last time. A moment of stunned silence. Then the answer came not in words, but with the fury of willpower. Minsung's burning eyes lit up with crimson defiance. What? Minsung breathed, the cracks forming. A massive surge of light erupted between them. I won't let you do anything like that, the apostle growled, tearing the divine seal apart with force and resolve, hurling Suho backward in a shockwave that scorched the battlefield. Eyes widened in the surrounding gloom. That's... From the scorched ruins of light emerged a new pressure, raw and overwhelming. It wasn't just stardust. It was Iterum energy, pulsing, living, searing with greater power than anything Brachus had unleashed. It shook the ground beneath them and made the air crackle. Crimson lightning sparked, dancing madly across Minsung's body. An arc of flame, vast and jagged, tore through the sky. The air burned. The ground shattered. And Li Minsung, now possessed with blinding energy. Golden dust exploded around his body, forming an intricate triangle of radiant arms that encased Li Minsung like the centerpiece of a divine ritual. His silhouette stood solemn at the heart of it all, still, upright, and ominously serene as a god cloaked in artificial grace. In the aftermath, amidst swirling dust and embers, Suho rose from his stance, molten energy coursing through his gauntlets. He exhaled heavily, the tension crackling off his body. I see. His opponent narrowed his glowing eyes. The attack on the Stardust Factory. You found Li Minsung, he spoke with eerie calm. To think you did all that just to meet with me. The flames illuminating his features gave way to a smirk, not of mockery, but of recognition. I've wanted to meet with you too. Golden wings spread wide, crackling with energy, revealing the identity of this formidable foe. Two pairs of eyes locked, one burning red through shadow, the other golden beneath pale hair. In that instant, the prelude to war was etched in their stares. Black-masked disruptor. The wings of power stretched wide as the radiant figure stood on the ground, eyes locked on the masked figure below. I, too, wanted to meet you, the saboteur with the black mask. Suho's eyes narrowed from behind the jagged grin of his mask. Something was off. Lee Min-sung had suddenly shifted. His behavior, his presence, it wasn't the same. And judging by what he was saying now, this wasn't just a transformation. It was possession. Are you the apostle sent by the god of the other world? His voice carried a divine weight, like judgment passed from heaven itself. The winged being stepped forward, eyes piercing. As I thought, you knew of our existence. The forest floor cracked beneath him as he landed, blades scraping against the earth. Yes, I have come here to claim ownership of this world. Suho's thoughts turned to his father, the man still trapped in that dimension, kept from returning by monsters like this. A furious storm brewed behind his gaze as electricity surged across his arms. The time for answers was over. Just the person I needed to see. But as Suho prepared to lunge, a figure appeared. His voice echoed like thunder. Enough. A blinding force exploded outward, freezing both figures mid-action. Pressure thickened the air like concrete. Then came the voice, cold, commanding, cruel. Starting now, you two are not allowed to move without my permission. Their limbs stiffened, locked in invisible chains. You try to pull a stunt, the voice echoed once more, and you're going to end up with holes in your body. In the gloom of the forest, a new warrior emerged, silent, weapon raised, gaze steeled and unwavering. And now, the true game has begun. Hunter Lim advanced with ferocity, his arrows cutting through the air like a flash of judgment. His voice thundered across the battlefield, calling out to Lee Min-sung with burning frustration. What was he hiding? What had he been doing all this time? Recognition flickered in Suho's eyes. S-rank Hunter, Lim Taegyu. The air thickened with tension. It seems we can't continue our deep talk here, Min-sung said calmly, wings glistening against the gray sky. He looked directly at Suho. Let's meet at the highest point in this region, Black Mask. Hunter Lim's eyes flared with unrelenting resolve. Where do you think you're going, Min-sung? His voice cracked like a lightning strike. Power surged beneath his feet as he unleashed a burst of energy. He wasn't going to let him escape again, not without answers. Min-sung deflected the force, wings flaring wide as he soared upward. Suho followed in relentless pursuit, the two of them carving trails of light across the sky as the battlefield trembled beneath them. He leapt again, another slash, another pulse of speed. The sky itself became a battleground of flashing arrows, of pursuit and revelation. There would be no more running. Not this time. A storm of blinding light and sharp arrows tears through the battlefield. Wings of gold streak across the sky as the avian enemy evades the incoming arrows, his motion graceful yet desperate. But Hunter Lim is relentless, his bowstring hums with pressure, each release cracking like thunder. The air itself splits as his arrows shoot forth like javelins of judgment. Below, Suho moves with calculated ferocity, his boots crashing into the dirt. His movements leave trails of white energy through the dust-filled air, a living tempest on the warpath. Each step brings him closer, each shot more precise. Amidst the chaos, Suho's gaze narrows. He knows. Lim Taegyu is here for Lee Min-sung too. Baru's voice was calm, his tone sharpened by instinct. Are you not going to retaliate, young monarch? Suho's voice continued. Lim Taegyu isn't part of the Iterum scheme. That much is clear from his reactions. But still, Suho frowns. Hunter Lim hasn't revealed his full strength. Lim Taegyu's eyes narrowed. Those bastards are dodging my arrows as if it's natural. But that changes nothing. With his knuckles tightening around his bow, Lim Taegyu resolves. Lee Min-sung is still the top priority. The thunderbolt of judgment must land. Energy erupts beneath his feet. With a blur of motion and streaks of violet lightning, Lim Taegyu charges again, breaking the sound barrier, cutting through the chaos like a falling star. I suppose it was selfish of me to try and bring you in unharmed, he admits to himself. His voice trails off, his senses flaring. A warning explodes in Minsung's mind. That mana is dangerous. Lim Taegyu's eyes gleam sharply. A breath, a pause in the blood-soaked wind. Then he spins, his cloak fluttering like torn shadows. Another presence, another intent. His body pivots, drawing the string of his bow with perfect tension. Blades of energy stretch across the sky as he fires without hesitation. The arrows hiss forward with merciless aim, racing toward an unseen opponent. In the forest shadows, a new figure reveals itself. Calm, precise, bow drawn with unshaking resolve. The goblin's sudden appearance halts the moment, eyes wide and arms slightly raised, as if caught off guard by the warrior's aim. Hunter Lim narrows his gaze, his fingers tense on the bowstring, then hesitates, uncertain. Why's a goblin here? He mutters, puzzled. But the distraction serves its purpose. A sharp realization strikes Lim Taegyu as sweat runs down his temple. Shit! Before the arrow can fly, the enemy is already gone, and the hunter lowers his bow, now standing alone in a clearing surrounded by drifting leaves and silence. His expression is grim. The escape wasn't part of the plan. He scans the area, sharp eyes searching the treetops and shadows. Damn it! He breathes under his breath. Clouds swirl overhead, casting shifting patterns of light over the ravaged forest floor. With the tension coiling in his jaw, he clenches his fist. Lee Min-sung, he utters again, voice low and laced with frustration. What the hell are you thinking? Elsewhere, a phone buzzes and lights up. A call is answered with a calm hand and a cooler voice. I see. So Lee Min-sung escaped. The voice belongs to the association chairman, who leans back with a composed face, but eyes gleaming with concern. In the field, Hunter Lim bows slightly, apologizing. Sorry about that, association chairman. It's my mistake. He explains in measured tones. Lee Min-sung's appearance didn't look normal, presumably from his drug intake. Hunter Choi listens intently, wiping a bit of sweat from his cheek. In addition, there was another hunter. A hunter with a black mask was with him. Hunter Choi's eyes widened in shock. His voice cut through the tense forest air. If it's a hunter with a black mask, was it someone who looked like a brawler? Suspicion clung to his tone like shadow to steel. Hunter Lim's eyes narrowed beneath his wide-brimmed hat, his voice quiet but sharp. How did you know that? A memory surged forward, distant but vivid. A hunter, alone, standing tall amidst the chaos of the airport dungeon break. His mask was black. His presence was like a tide against the flood of magic beasts. He had stopped the surge, fought alongside dark creatures that were clearly not ordinary summons. A dark certainty crept into the red-haired hunter's voice. The hunter I saw during the airport dungeon break was wearing a black mask as well. He was stopping the magic beasts rushing in all alone, along with the black magic beasts. And then, realization struck like thunder. If they're black magic beasts, then they should be Hunter Sung Jinwoo's. Across the city, a man sat alone behind a desk. The weight of the nation's defense lay heavy in the silence. His mind churned with implications. Did the missing Hunter Sung Jinwoo come back? But then he shook his head. No, he would have quickly ended this situation. Which meant, then, could it be, sunset washed over the mountains in a blaze of orange. Shadows stretched long as two figures approached each other on a rocky slope. One descended from the sky like a god wrapped in feathers of gold. The other climbed steadily upward, his silhouette unwavering against the burning sky. The apostle's voice echoed. How unexpected. Why did you help me? Suho answers in a calm voice. Obviously, won't you abandon Lee Min-sung's body and disappear once it gets dangerous for you? Under that molten horizon, a confrontation simmered. I've heard from the demons. The voice was cold, steady. That the darkness is the being known as the Shadow Monarch in this world. What's your relation to the Shadow Monarch? The golden figure pressed, his interest sharpened with menace. You seem to be curious about a lot. Suho finally spoke, his tone cool and defiant. But I don't think I need to tell you anything. Power crackled in the air as he took a step forward. I'm going to crush you and obtain the information that way. Inside the shadows, a voice echoed, cautious, urgent. Be careful, young monarch. I cannot fathom the magnitude of Lee Min-sung's power, now that the Apostle of Iterim has taken over his body. But the answer came with quiet confidence. Don't worry, Baru. Suho stepped into the waning light, his gaze steady and filled with purpose. I prepared something just for this moment. A single word, sharp and resonant, ripped through the dusk. Arise. From the stillness, shadows surged upward in a violent spiral. Blue flames roared from the ground, licking the air like awakened ghosts. The silhouette at the center remained unmoved, calm, as though commanding the storm itself. Above, unseen eyes narrowed in observation. It's certain, came the murmured thought. It's exactly like the authority of the darkness I witnessed on the battlefield. A legion answered the call, rising one by one from the void. Their bodies monstrous, their presence monstrous still. The eerie glow of spectral eyes flickered from the veil of magic. Their master stood among them, cloaked in silence, unwavering. The desert centipede unfurled beside it, jaws grinding with rage. The crimson-skinned high troll stepped forward, thick arms trembling with savage strength. And towering among them, a figure robed in grim majesty, Tomb Warden Psycha. Each shadow bore its rank, its name, and its violent past. These are all the corpses I've saved up for this day, he declared, voice heavy with grim resolve. His fingers tightened. Lightning flared. Let's both fight with everything we've got. Behind him, the army of darkness stood ready, an unholy wall of might and memory, forged by death and bound by will. Across the battlefield, Lee Min-sung emerged beneath the burning skies, his smile split wide in a jagged crescent of madness. The dark veins across his face pulsed with volatile power, his eyes hollow with possession, yet drunk on ecstasy. And the war that had waited was about to begin. Under the blazing light of the setting sun, Lee Min-sung's golden aura crackled with tension. The wind stilled, then came a sharp chime. A system window blinked into reality before him. An urgent quest has arrived. Its content was clear and absolute. Defeat Lee Min-sung, Iterum Apostle. Defeat Lee Min-sung, who has been possessed by the Iterum Apostle, and obtain his memories. Suho clenched his jaw. His golden eyes darkened with conflict as his coat swayed in the sudden stillness. This wasn't a battle he chose. It was one that fate demanded. He exhaled deeply, his hand tightening. The quest was in motion now. He had come this far, but now the path led to something irreversible. To kill another person. Elsewhere, the apostle's thought continued. Even after finally understanding what emotions are, the changes that have been happening within me feel strange. The weight of that thought lingered in the air, heavier than the shadows that cloaked Suho. Min-sung's memories, twisted by possession, flashed behind his mind's eye. But the man himself still lingered in there, somewhere. That part made this so much harder. Somewhere deep within, a different memory stirred. A memory not entirely his own. A fragment. He remembered a time when an overwhelming presence, dark, cold, and endlessly powerful, stood against a legion not of this world. Alone, yet unshaken. That figure wasn't feared for cruelty, but for strength and solitude. Darkness itself, he couldn't help but wonder. That loneliness, was it the same he now carried? The apostle blinked. His eyes began to glow with golden fire, laced with tension and awakening. I wonder if I can get my answer from him. Without another thought, one of Suho's summoned beasts lunged forward, its claws slashing toward the apostle, shrieking with elemental fury. The battle had begun, and the price for hesitation was long gone. The dark sky churned with sinister energy as shadowy tendrils twisted and swirled above. From that swirling abyss, monstrous silhouettes began to descend, silent, formless, and terrifying. They emerged like a flood, their shapes shifting in a phantasmal tide of power. Below them, Suho stood alone, surrounded by the very embodiment of darkness. His summons, each a terrifying warrior in its own right, rose with him, ready to answer their king's command. From across the battlefield, Lee Min-sung hovered with a golden aura crackling around his frame. His once human eyes now shimmered with otherworldly brilliance, the unmistakable sign of his possession by the Iterum Apostle. With a gaze sharpened by experience and fury, Suho readied his next strike. His eyes flared with glowing focus. No hesitation, no fear. But the one before him, this fusion, was something unnatural. Dangerous. From the shadows, Suho charged forward, his gauntlet surging with the same eerie glow as his summoned soldiers. The enemy braced as Suho emerged from the vortex of darkness, aura crackling, fury dancing across his face. The angelic warrior narrowed his eyes. He realized it now. This wasn't just a battle against beasts of darkness. From the heart of the battlefield, Lee Min-sung unleashed chaos, his towering figure framed against the blazing backdrop, twin centipede-like beasts exploding from the ground behind him. Their armored forms reared and screeched as they tore through the battlefield, but he didn't falter. His wings spread wide, glowing with an unholy gold, and he surged forward with ruthless precision. Across the field, Essel moved like a whisper in the storm. Essel's form blurred, flashing through debris and ash, her blades drawn and gleaming with lethal intent. Her purple hair whipped through the air, eyes focused, unwavering. Her every step narrowed the distance between them, every motion calculating and sharp. Her presence broke through Min-sung's awareness, and his gaze turned to her with mild surprise. A streak of steel, her attack came swift and high. The golden enemy caught her midair with ease. His spear rose like a wall, halting her descent in a clean clash of energy. With one hand, he blocked. With the other, he readied the counter. His expression didn't shift. Not anger, not respect, only amusement. He caught the spear, twisted it, and looked into her eyes with a chilling calm. "You're not one of the black soldiers," he said, his voice like thunder trapped in gold. And then the impact. With a sudden burst of speed, Suho launched himself forward, his kick a blur of motion. It cleaved through the air, striking true. The golden-armored figure reeled, his body thrown back by the sheer force of his assault. The impact sent tremors through the battlefield. Min-sung lifted his head slowly, expression unreadable, crimson cracks spidering across his cheek. His dark eyes narrowed, his voice echoed. "Why aren't you using the full force of the black soldiers? Why waste time with lesser pawns?" Suho stepped forward, energy crackling at his fingertips. Behind him, Essel stood with quiet resolve. "Black soldiers," Suho murmured, voice low. He continued, "If you want to see it so badly, I'll show it to you." With that declaration, shadows spiraled around Min-sung like a summoning vortex, and from the darkness emerged a monstrous being, massive and majestic. Its blue aura surged upward like a geyser of ice and fury, eyes blazing with primal wrath. Its roar cracked the very sky. The enemy watched, stunned, as the colossal figure formed, the earth splitting beneath its feet and clouds swirling from its power. The time for restraint had ended. The moment erupts in brilliance as the gauntlet fist surges forward, slicing through the storm of sand and fire with electric precision. His body twists midair, charging all his power into one explosive strike. His eyes locked, unrelenting, aimed at his enemy's core. Blue aura crackles around him, wild and pure, like lightning compressed into mortal form. As the strike lands, a blinding golden light blasts outward, sand and air shattering with a roar that shakes the sky. The figure is thrown back, trailing chaos behind him like a comet tearing through atmosphere. From the dust cloud, a shadowed shape hurtles away, his form caught in a torrent of dispersing energy. His face is tense, eyes locked onto the core of the blast as realization dawns. The sand that had once wrapped around him like armor had turned against him and detonated. Staring down at the unraveling chaos, his voice cuts through the settling silence, heavy with disbelief. The sand that wrapped him up exploded. A dense cloud of sand churned violently, swallowing all vision as a single glint of golden light pierced the storm from deep within. Silence fell, and then a voice echoed. "I guess I won't be able to feel that sense of exhilaration that I felt back then." A sudden strike tore through the battlefield. Lee Min-sung's body surged forward like a blade of light, his sword cleaving the battlefield in two with blistering force. Dust and energy exploded in his wake, and behind Suho, the summoned forces clashed with the enemy, a chaotic blur of steel and flame. From the heart of the storm, Min-sung emerged again, his body cracked with golden lightning, his armor battle-worn, but his eyes unwavering. He turned calmly, letting the sand settle around him. "How disappointing," he muttered coldly. The black smoke behind him coiled like tendrils from a living shadow, retreating as if ashamed. "The soldiers of darkness," he said. are all veterans who fight with their own will, like a trained army. But your power? It only looks the same. It's not. His gaze sharpened, dissecting his opponent's essence with clinical cruelty. You may think you wield the same authority, but it's a completely different ability. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.